This is the book of Mercury, Hermes Hermeticus, eclipse eclipse from 11:30 a.m. to 7:58 p.m. This is the so-called date of August 12th, 2026. The North Node is currently in Aquarius, balanced out by Leo, and the South Node is currently in Leo, balanced out by Aquarius. Leo, the planets currently in Leo is Corona, the sun, nationalized, the moon and Mercury, balanced out. They're all in Leo, balanced out by Aquarius. And finally, for this introduction, Sirius is risen, Sirius is risen, Lion's Gates eclipse from 1138 intuition, ancient Moorish Moabitis until 758 circle 7 Quran 13th sign appeal to the womb with all these shifting planets in one moon. This is the letter to be read before every meeting as required by my prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Moorish American people, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation by night and day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Ra. To be proclaimed in every meeting. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend on for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to try to disqualify me so they themselves can take charge of the situation. I have notified these things to you long in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine and respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months because I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish, divine, and national movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause. I hereby inform all members that they must end. I'm sorry. I'm missing one. Caveat emptor. Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain or unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits and their insidious plans to invade such realm. They try, but their own bad plannings bring down wrath upon their heads, like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any time. Prophet Noble Drew Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are the vanguard of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All Moors are active, not passive. All members' interests can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the world years before, the prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemes work, where traitors grin and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with true Moors. But the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time, and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers fly high, catch scent, devour, and leave, crying out, "Caveat emptor," cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exist, hurl themselves downward by their own works as hawks await. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. All members or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. It was something I'm gonna have to go back and look at where I messed up. I sent a mental note for me, but this is what I got in here. If you feel like the prophet is out of order, something like that, something like that, feel like it's an issue, the prophet is out of order, then just turn in your card and button and cease wearing your turban. And it said they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. That's before the meeting. This is during the meeting. Observer, the title, Observer, Restoration of My Lost Estates, etc. Caveat emptor of my prophet, Noble Drew Ali. After I finished the video yesterday, I spoke within my counselor venue, counselor court, diversity venue / diversity of nationality / diversity of divinity, divine and national truth and divine truth dimensions within. I spoke to my soul, communicating how disgusted I was with her for allowing these unum sanctum persons, places, things, and beings to inhabit her womb on this planet called Midgard. I expressed how parasitically pathetic I viewed their nature as it regards my estate to be. How their only way to exist is to feed off of the estates of others until their host is utterly destroyed. Then as I walked, I put on this YouTube video scene from the movie 300. The YouTube title is 300 / This Is Where We Fight / Clip Zones, Heroes and Villains, end of YouTube title. It was posted up on YouTube December 29, 2025, where the so-called normal sun was in Aquarius and the Vedic sun balanced out by Leo, and the Vedic sun was in Capricorn balanced out by Cancer. And the so-called normal moon was in Aquarius balanced out by Leo, and the Vedic moon was in Capricorn balanced out by Cancer, and it was a new moon at the time. In parentheses, I was listening to that in MP3 form. I listened and used it in my imagination maxims from the location far diagonal from the Sharks Plaza at the state of Hillside, Illinois, all the way until 3.5/4 of the way to CSL. I imagined maxims, a story that I made once I got into CSL. I will read that story when I get to that part of this letter. Of this letter. I listened to Nipsey Hussle's song titled, YouTube title is Rap Niggas, in parentheses, official video, end of YouTube title. The Vedic moon was in Aries, balanced out by Libra, and the so-called regular moon was in Taurus, balanced out by Scorpio when it was posted up, which was December 1st, 2017. The Vedic sun was in Scorpio, called Vrishtika, balanced out by Taurus, and the so-called regular sun was in Sagittarius, balanced out by Gemini. I listened to Shawnee Bonnie and Murda B song titled, YouTube title is Dump It, end of YouTube title. It was posted up on February 10, 2023, where the so-called regular sun was in Aquarius, balanced out by Leo, and the Vedic sun was in Capricorn, Makara Rashi, balanced out by Cancer. The Vedic moon was in Virgo, Kanya, balanced out by Pisces, and the so-called regular moon was in Libra, balanced out by Aries, and the moon was a waning gibbous, 80% to 85% visible light. I listened to Murda B song titled, YouTube title, Introduction, in parentheses, shot by KLO Visions, end of those parentheses, and some other parentheses, PROD by Elvis Beats, end of YouTube title. This video was posted up October 26, 2022, where the Vedic sun was in Libra, Tula Rashi, balanced out by Aries, and the so-called regular sun was in Scorpio, balanced out by Taurus. The so-called regular moon was in Scorpio, balanced out by Taurus, and the Vedic moon was in Libra, Tula Rashi, balanced out by Aries. And the moon was a waxing crescent from 1% to 1.3% illuminated. With the same imagination maxims frequencies of, as I will read in the upcoming story, of the incoming story, me protecting my estate and defending it against unum sanctum Spanish Inquisition. So I said, with the same imagination maxims of frequency, of, as I will read in the incoming story, me protecting my estate and defending it against unum sanctum Spanish Inquisitions. I was listening to those songs with that same frequency of mind. Within my mind/heart's great eye, I imagined imagination maxims, me, etc., striking down the dark priesthood and their unconstitutional tentacles that support their unconstitutional operations against my estate. My soul took me on a journey of mentorship, showing me, etc., symbols of how the skies are clearing up due to my works and many other things. I arrived within CSL and dry the clothing I wore. Due to Unum Sanctum's attack against my estate of turning off the electricity and trying to make it look as if the storm did it, so they could discourage my spirit and vampire off my Inherji inheritance, the phone I used wasn't as charged. Lizbeth kept it charged for Treme, etc. I met a hybrid Albion named Charles, according to him. He said he works in auto tech. As I observed within CSL, I consciously became aware of the animal husbandry frequency in the building. Thus, the animal husbandry training of Unum Sanctum abroad. Example, where are the planets? Where are the signs? What signs are they in? What are the south and north? Where are the south and north node currently? Lionsgate is proposed to end. Eclipse is proposed to begin. Summer is heading to fall, etc. With these considerations, I observed animal husbandry operations within me and outside of me. I wrote this story titled Don't Get Mad, Get Even, Big Time, Lions Gate 88, South Node, North Node, /planets, /Zooticaius, /physiology, psychology, psychiatry, civic, metaphysical, economic, quantum physical, political, spiritual, occult, genetic, birthrights /estates, Unum Sanctum. Circle 7, caveat emptor of my prophet, Noble Drew Ali. The story is as follows. This is the picture for the story. See, I have a serpent, a serpenti crocodilus. The anointed my head with oil, the circle 7, and on my crown is caveat emptor of my prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is the story. From 1992 to 2006 and 7 generations before that and after that, Unum Sanctum has been living off of my genetic virtues to my injury. They have been feeding off of us and consistently practicing usufruct, subterfuge, usury, and all other tactics of genocide against me. They insist on continuing these attacks against my estate. They have obviously gotten used to their reign of terror against my estate. I have obviously gotten used to their reign of terror against my estate. Therefore, with this level of frequency I have activated and defended against their past, present, and perceived future hypothecation attempts to escheat my unlocked frequency, I now get even. Big time. I struck down their private kingship oligarchy and the stateless / undesirable, demonic, angelic, vampiric, hybrid, Moorish, Moabitist concoction dark priesthood with my imagination maxims. I intensely focused my womb into seeing my Heru Set champion birth this. My imagination maxims branched off into other imaginations to see this come to pass in my mind / heart's eye, for they are my sworn enemies by their own account, behavior, and history. I led the constitutional army under the orders of Noble Drew Ali, our prophet. The Unum Sanctum unconstitutional birthright, the Unum Sanctum unconstitutional army demanded we Moors give up your estate and birthright due to our tactics and strategies of Spanish Inquisition, that we may hypothecate it and injure you and your bloodline. No, I'm sorry. Moors, give up your estate and birthright due to our tactics and strategies of Spanish Inquisition, that we may hypothecate it and create escheat formulas with it in order to continue to injure you and your bloodline, civically, politically, economically, spiritually, metaphysically, physically, quantum physically, genetically, and occult. I, at the head of the constitutional army at battle / battle, and under the orders of my prophet, the Noble Drew Ali, imagine all the 1992 through 2026 Unum Sanctum terrorism I experienced, and the 7 generations before me and 7 generations after me. My soul wailed with power, fortitude, and permission. Now! I set up an allodial aboriginal trust of what my soul just did for me and put it in my hereditament called Observer, Restoration of My Lost Estates, Caveat emptor, Ek Noble Drew Ali. Before we knew it, the unconstitutional Unum Sanctum enforcer was neutralized as the hawks await for us to prepare their meals of Unum Sanctum unconstitutional meat and hereditaments. The prophet Noble Drew Ali wailed with a divine and national dare. Smelly culprits, come and take our estates. So I made another allodial aboriginal trust in that hereditament formula machine mentioned earlier, based on my being inspired by my prophet Noble Drew Ali's wail, and I roared, Unum Sanctum war criminals, come and get them. Then they charged, using hermetic principles to kill us and get us to abandon our estate. Then Saturn and Uranus rose up behind us. Uranus exposed their Wizard of Oz de facto tactics and our de jure birthright. And Saturn finished the job by demanding order. They all fell from the unconstitutional mountains they fought from as cowards and courageous unconstitutional fools. More were sent. The more they sent, the more they fell. The more their heirs met the same fate as their unconstitutional parents, who trained them to be unconstitutional Unum Sanctum Spanish Inquisitionists. Every breakthrough and phenomenon, I established allodial trusts and aboriginal trusts. Everything we did, we received our orders from our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. When he said, hold, I roared, hold. When he said, steady, I roared, steady. When he roared, no prisoners, I orally breathe fire. No mercy. When he commanded Tebey, no more gives up their estate to unum sanctum Spanish Inquisitions. We all ensured that did not take place. After that battle/battle, I told him, this was a good start. Twice, he silently replied, increase your faithfulness, Moors. That was the story. And this is part 2. I finished to his cheat. I finished its cheat interaction at CSL and accumulated human trafficking bookkeeping notes. Although I was aware of the animal husbandry frequency instigation in the environment, I chose to keep my frequency high, do what I wilt, and use the divine and national principles of my prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I went to Dollar Tree escheat operation and accumulated papyrus, paper, serpen, pens, and markers as tools for my estate operation, estoppel/rebuttals, adverse claims, and reversions of estate. Then I accumulated soul elixir, liquor/alcohol, and continued to speak to my soul about the disgusting, smelly culprit operations of unum sanctum against my estate, which are the tares. And I continue to unveil myself to myself, which are the wheat, equals estoppel/rebuttals, adverse claims, and reversions of estate. I went to the escheat operation called J&J Fish and used federal counterfeit bookkeeping notes to accumulate dead, lifeless, straw chicken/fries/and gizzards. And I went to the escheat operation Dollar Tree on Manheim Road, Hillside, Illinois, so-called, and used private commercial paper to accumulate popcorn, energy shots, and cookies, so-called. Then I went to Shell gas station and accumulated tobacco, so-called. I then arrived at escheat operation at 10 North Lind AVE APT 10A at the state of Hillside, Illinois 60162, so-called, and continued to reject unum sanctum's attacks against my estate. They are the tares, and cultivate the love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, sincerity, equality, and joy, etc. from my soul. That is the wheat. I so-called awake early morning, finished the dead chicken carcass from the soul elixir and review the dead chicken carcass. Finish the soul elixir and review the so-called movies titled Malcolm X with Denzel Washington and Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. I watched with the eye of the Great Seal. Then I so-called slept. In my so-called dreams, this is what I saw. However, in the words of my mighty prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the half has not been told. Now, that's the end of his quote. All not told is activated/applied and cultivated in my competent estate operations, economic, spirit, etc. 1. House like Britney's, in every movie a person speaks in, they do it in a body form like a pyramid structure. Freddy Krueger, Danny Glover, and many others. 2. I was listening to the House of Reawakening Minds lecture by Grand Sheikh Tashariq Bey and Dr. G on YouTube, House of Reawakening Minds, and the YouTube title of that video was Drawing a Line in the Birthright Sand /GSK Taj Tariq Bey and Dr. G. End of YouTube title. It was uploaded on April 3rd, 2026, when the sun was in, the so-called normal sun was 13 degrees in Libra balanced out by, 13 degrees in Aries balanced out by Libra. And the Vedic sun was in Pisces, Meena in Sanskrit, and Jyotish in Vedic, was in Pisces, Vedic sun, balanced out by Virgo. And the moon, so-called normal moon, was in Scorpio, balanced out by Taurus, and the Vedic moon was in Libra, Tula, balanced out by Aries. So as I got that going in my ear, Asia and I are campaigning to be with one another. Her uncle and I talk about these things. Her uncle and I talk about those things and many other things. Our conversations was of the nature of that lecture. that I just brought up. We speak of how others are knowingly and unknowingly negatively affected now and in the future due to the geopolitical corruption and nature cleaning it up. Their neighbors started singing so-called gospel music because the unseen vampiric energies herded them through fears, doubts, insecurities, and guilts. They were singing songs to Constantine Jesus as they were being herded and vampired off of. The phone bent. That's another thing I seen. Another thing I seen with my cousin DJ pulling long 12-hour shifts, 12-hour abay shifts, so-called shifts, because they was trying to build up to, get some get some private commercial paper to do some type of thing that they wanted to do. And he looked forward to rest. I got up and I'd so-called awake. I got up and heard the Unum Sanctum operators trying to steal my inheritance. I annihilated them and their false gods and their false goddesses. A storm was sent here, de facto and de jure, and the de facto was exposed and the de jure reigned supreme. I then got up about 10:20 something, ancient Moabitus, Moorish, 10:20 a.m., and writ. In closing, I accept and am aware of my animal husbandry training from Unum Sanctum Spanish Inquisitions against my estate. I forgive myself for my disrespect and dishonor to my true self. I forgive those who had the same story as above. I will never submit my estate and birthright to the smelly culprits of Unum Sanctum. I shall always annihilate them, for that is their duty against me, etc. I will continue to protect my prophet, Noble Drew Ali, as commanded and divinely plead. I will continue to be active and not passive, as my prophet, Noble Drew Ali, stated in his letter to my estate. Divine and national, truth and divine truth. I will continue to be love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Signed, consent of my estate, Simon Treme El Bay, Tears. I'd finished the letter at 1:32 p.m.